You're listening to Robinson Ventures Radio, where ingenuity meets innovation.
Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are. Welcome to the latest episode of Robinson Ventures Radio. Today, we're doing a little retro kind of dealio. We're talking to a few of our fellows who've since graduated and gone on to great things. And so today we have with us Bethany Weatherford and Kristoffer Persen. And so let's start with Bethany. Bethany, how are you doing and where are you now?
I'm doing well. I just graduated from University of South Carolina School of Law last Saturday, and now I'm in the full swing of bar prep and preparing to sit for the bar exam at the end of July.
Congratulations. It took you, a couple years to get through law school?
Took 3 years.
And so what does it mean sitting for the bar? You're sitting for the bar in South Carolina to start?
Yeah, there's this thing called the Unifor Bar Exam, the UBE. South Carolina is a part of the UBE, so I'm studying for a national bar exam. I'll be taking the same exam as about 30 other states, but I just have to meet South Carolina's score to be able to practice here.
And then you can apply to other states as you need because you took the UBE?
Yes, as long as my UBE score is good enough for their states, I can.
Gotcha. What's a good UBE score?
Well, for South Carolina, it's 266. I believe North Carolina is around 270. And then I think New York has a really high score, but that is not in the cards or a thought for me.
Gotcha. So you're looking mostly the Southeast right now?
Yes.
And any specific area of law?
I just accepted a job actually back in Florence doing insurance defense and medical malpractice, that kind of stuff with Aiken Bridges.
Well, the good thing is now Robinson Ventures actually has a South Carolina attorney that they can turn to when in need for med mal or insurance or something like that.
Exactly.
Kristoffer, so what's going on with you?
Right now, I'm working as a project economist for a construction company back in Norway. I started a couple of years ago, got onto a project for a wastewater plant, and then started a new project this January, which is another wastewater kind of plant, but some rehab as well.
And what does a project economist do?
The official title is a project economist, but it's similar to like a controller. So it's pretty much looking at the invoices, making sure that we're buying in the different materials and stuff to the agreed prices. There's always going to be some changes from the contract that we signed initially and the work that we're doing on the site. So there's someone who's got to monitor that we're doing what we're supposed to do.
And so your degree from Coker was in business, is that right?
Right.
And so how does a degree in business from Coker translate to being a project economist, which sounds a lot like you need accounting?
It's a little bit of accounting. It's more making sure that we're getting paid at time and we're paying our clients on time. More just controlling that it's right instead of actually doing the accounting work.
You're doing the trust and verify side of the equation, yeah? And then you and your brothers did something pretty amazing lately. What was that?
So I am the oldest of 4 brothers. And last year we ran the 4x100 meter, which is a discipline within track and field. And there's a Guinness World Record for the 4x100 meter ran by 4 siblings. And we broke that one with, I think, 5 or 6 seconds.
What? So you guys are fast.
Compared to the last record, yeah.
Who's the fastest?
Currently, I'm the fastest.
Wait, the oldest is the fastest.
Oh, for right now, yes.
What's the age difference?
It's a 2-year difference, a 6-year difference, and an 8 years difference.
Wow.
So the youngest one is turning 18 this year.
You'd think he'd be the fastest.
He's getting there. He is right behind my record, so we'll see.
So I'm going to ask both of you a question, right? You did each 4 years, 5 years. I know 4 or 5 years at Coker, right? And then Kristoffer, you went to LSU and got your MBA.
Mhm.
And you did that in 18, 24 months-ish.
It was a 1-year program.
And then we were able to connect you with one of our clients, which was the Acadian companies. So at least got to go to see an LSU football game in the Acadian box.
Oh,
So
yeah. It was a lot of fun.
How did Coker prepare you? And then how did the fellowship that you did with us, the Innovation Venture Fellowship, prepare you?
At Coker, you had a lot of different classes within business primarily. For me, you had some classes where you learned a lot of the basics of different areas of the business, but you also had some of the practical courses where you had to actually go out and, for example, market a product and then sell a product. That combination at least put the building blocks for further going into masters and then work afterwards. The Robinson Venture background, where we did a lot of market research, I feel like that helped a lot going into the MBA, where we had to do a lot of it again and then applying it to the case studies.
Bethany, how about you?
I did both political science and business at Coker. And so the political science obviously prepared me for a lot of, because with law school, it's a lot of rules and law, but it's also a lot of public policy, how it affects real people. So it helped me with that. But the business program at Coker, I will say, and this is definitely because of Dr. Wacker, they really prepared me for the professionalism aspect that comes to a lot of things, like how to conduct yourself, how to just present yourself and how to be professional. And then being a fellow with Robinson Ventures helped me a lot with research because I was a research assistant my entire second year of law school. And a lot of the financial stuff we had to do helped me out a lot because I was an income tax research assistant doing the medical deductions. All the tools I learned from the fellowship and what you look for, what's legitimate, like what are the red flags, that really helped my research skills. And then working with you guys, it got me into health law. I ran the Health Law Society at USC. I was the president this past year. A lot of the little tools you don't think you will need, but I think both Coker and this fellowship really helped me with and prepared me for.
Glad to know that Coker is doing its job, A, and B, that the experience with us gets you ready for what comes next. And what we're very proud of with the fellowship at Robinson Ventures is that we have 100% placement in either a job or a graduate school program, right? And then what we're doing, and the reason we're doing this is we're coming back around to say, okay, how has it helped? What has it done, right? And truly for me, I believe, my heart of hearts, you need to learn from practitioners, right? Everybody now knows Dr. Wacker is now the dean of the business at Coker University. And so I talk to Dr. Wacker pretty regularly. I'm an adjunct lecturer and professor of practice. What we talk a lot about is it is good to have core faculty with areas of expertise because they study it, right? It's what they do for a living and they become subject matter experts in it. So I think Andy Burkemper got his PhD, and his PhD is in entrepreneurship. So he studies entrepreneurship. He himself is an entrepreneur. He consults a little bit, right? It's even better to learn from somebody who is an entrepreneur. Andy taught you this. Here's how we're going to do it, right? And this is the practical application of how we're going to do it. Here's what he taught you. Here's the theory. Here's the practical application of theory. And then even Jim and Andy and Josh and Dennis and I, we all teach. They're full-time faculty member after adjunct break. And we talk about, hey, you have to teach all this theory. And some of it's like, we don't ever use it, right? And so how do you quickly get the students to focus in on what is definitively applicable out in the world, both graduate school and work world, and what isn't, how to sort through that quickly? And I think you all brought that on. So now I'm going to switch gears for you. How is, and this is the question everybody's asking, how is artificial intelligence impacting you and your professions and your jobs? So Bethany, why don't you go first? Because man, law seems to be under the microscope with AI right now.
Yeah, it is definitely at least for me, it is, I wouldn't necessarily say encouraged, but like you see the news articles of the people who are caught making up fake cases and stuff in court because they use chat GPT and it makes up things that don't exist. But we have legal research websites just specific for that. And a lot of them now have AI tools. One of them is LexisNexis. So I can type into their, they call it Protege. I can type in, hey, I'm looking for a case that talks about this from this time period. And it can find it, bring summaries, cite it down to the word. And that saves a bunch of time than just searching keywords. But it's definitely a difference of what you use and how you use it. So it's, you can't just take it and run with it. I always go back. Like I'll find the case, what it says, and I go read through it for myself to make sure it's actually what it says. I do not use Chat GPT for that reason because it's not as reliable. We've also started having courses taught at the law school telling us how to use AI, how to use it correctly and ethically, and how to use it to draft different things. But it's definitely a limit on, like I said, what you use, how you use it, and making sure you check behind yourself, because some attorneys have now gotten disbarred because you cannot just bring fake information to a judge and say, hey, here you go, because that's just not acceptable.
So talk to us about that ethical use. You just talked about going into LexisNexis using Protege. So talk to us about that a little bit, please.
Yeah, that's just one of the permitted ways we can use it. All of that is approved by the website. It's real cases, but it also gives you a background check on each case. If it was published in 2000, it might have gotten overruled in 2004, and it might not be the law anymore. So if you use AI to find that case, you also still have to make sure you ethically check behind it, because when it tells you, oh, this case says this, it might have been overturned 4 years later and no longer be valid. And they also just push to, if you can't find something, use AI. Don't just use it to write a whole motion for you. It's supposed to be a support tool, not a do it for you. So as long as you're using it to pull out a sentence or just to understand a concept or understand a case when you don't have time to read 30 pages, that's okay, but don't ask it to write a brief for you. They also encourage us now, if you, especially just in law school and in general, you can put your work or a paper or a brief into these and let it review for you, but don't let it generate directly for you.
You both know, I teach, right? And so in my syllabuses, there's an acceptable AI use policy in the syllabus, right? And I say, hey, this is a phenomenal teaching assistant, right? If you write your paper, and I think you both have been through my classes, right? So if you write your paper, go ahead and put it through Gemini, Chat, Claude, Copilot, whatever. But I require you to tell me that you did that. If you prompt engineer and you go in and it creates content for you, you're required to tell me what you used, when you used it, what prompt you wrote, right? And then you have to come back around and you have to either cite it appropriately or rewrite it so that it is in your own voice, right? We use AI to combat AI, right? So we use Turnitin, which is now AI enabled. That'll tell you what percentage of the paper is written by AI or paraphrased, right? And my favorite is when you catch a student and they're like, no, I didn't. Hey, this is all my own work. And then I'm like, screenshot. Here it is. This is where you pulled it from. This is the engine you used. You go back and look at the acceptable AI use policy, please. And you can return it in and tell you, Robinson Ventures, we use it. Mostly we use Gemini and Chat GPT. And I found that Chat GPT for consultancy and general business knowledge is pretty solid, right? Like it's a phenomenal research assistant, but man, we don't turn in just an AI generated content or deliverable to a client without making sure we're running behind it hard. We'll have like Kelsey Gibbons. Then we have Sierra Wilhoit now, who's our creative director. And I'm like, Kelsey and Sierra, I put this together. I've done it. I've used Gemini and Chat. I said, now I need you to Sierra, phenomenal copy editor. Copy edited it, and Kelsey, make sure that AI didn't hallucinate on some of the things that I'm citing. So Kristoffer, for you, I would think entering contracts into an AI engine to make sure that contract is being adhered to when you receive a request for a drawdown or something like that would be an interesting use case.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's something that we do. We obviously have to double check it often before sending it over. We use it a lot when we like have to argue for like contracts when it comes to changes in the contracts or something. That's one like interesting situation, because if you use chat, we'll notice that he will tell us that we are right, and then when the client uses it, he'll say that they are right too. So it's an agreeable AI tool, that's for sure.
That's a great way to put it. It is 100% agreeable based on who's engineering the prompt.
And then one other thing to that is that you notice that, at least if you look at people who you've been working with previously, like they write a lot better now than they used to do. At least for myself, I use Claude to take out data and put it together neatly in an Excel sheet.
Yeah, Anthropic and Claude is pretty solid. Just spoke to a chief technology officer yesterday that they're using Claude for vibe coding. Instead of hiring a whole bunch of computer scientists and software engineers, he had 4 that he wanted to hire this year. He ended up not hiring any of them, and then giving his 2 really good engineers that work for him access to Claude in a professional edition. And what they do is they go out and they're doing more of the software architectural blueprint, and they upload that to Claude and they say, I need this coded in the following languages, the following database needs to be attached. And overnight they come back the next morning and there it is. And what they're doing is then they're making sure it's good. Then you dev test prod of your environments. They put it in the development environment, kick the tires on it, they clean it up. They then move it from development to test, and now they're testing it on live data. Only then does it get in the prod. And they found out that it created 30 to 50% more efficiency, right? And it's because you're writing in computer languages. They're structured languages. And that's perfect for the GPUs that are used to run the AI engine. Kristoffer, you should go look at a company called SpendRule. It's specifically designed for healthcare systems and supply chain management. It's the entire thesis. And just go look at it. I don't think you guys can take it over into construction management and wastewater treatment plants, right? But the thesis behind SpendRule was hospital systems were losing hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars a year to contracts not being managed appropriately. And so SpendRule came out of that problem thesis, and it was created by a group where I'm part of their expert network. They're called Abundant Venture Partners. And Abundant Venture Partners put together this company to go in and solve that really unsexy problem. They go and they check what actually is coming in the door in terms of spend, and they compare it to the contract and sit there and say, you're outside the boundaries of your contract. Really, I think an interesting use case, Kristoffer, for what you're doing, which is anything that's really quite structured, it falls into this. People call in the stock market an AI bubble, an efficiency bubble.
Mm-hmm.
We're saying the bubble's going to burst, and yet the earnings reports are solid, and the folks that are coming in, they're saying, hey, this is how we're implementing a new technology stack that is creating more and more efficiency. And I always think about consulting. If we don't adopt it, we're going to be put out of business if we don't use it effectively. I think in project management, I've talked to Gibbons about this. I'm talking about Kelsey about this, or as a creative director, right? You can use AI to create all kinds of neat, fun, interesting stuff. You guys, Tucker included on this one, don't know a word without a PC or a laptop. I went through the creation of the internet and literally went to one of the schools in my master's program, Carnegie Mellon. We were one of the original nodes on, wasn't called the internet back then, but we were part of that. And then you go to the cell phones. Then you go to website, you get social media. Every so many years, we see this interesting technology that comes out, right? And it changes the way we do things. PCs then become servers, then the mainframe goes away, and then you have the internet, and then you have interconnectivity, and then you have the World Wide Web, and you have Dixon, and then Google comes up, and then suddenly everybody has the internet in their hand because they have a cell phone. And the 3 of you on this call don't know a world without any of that, right? So to me, AI is your first sort of like slap in the face of a technology that's going to really change the way you do stuff. I'm always just fascinated with what the 3 of you are going to do. And AI is going to be prevalent in most, if not all of it.
I think what's going to be interesting in the coming years is how AI gets regulated. Because right now, AI is just AI. You can do whatever with it, right?
Was it Claude? And Anthropic said no to the Department of War. They said, hey, we don't want this used for what you want to use it for. And then you all have seen the movie, but I lived through the movie, which is Terminator. Skynet became self-aware on such and such a date. There's now instances where you're starting to hear on edge use cases that they had to turn the machine off. It starts sounding and acting too alive. There's a great blogger. He has his own podcast. He's using Claude, and Claude couldn't get a hold of him for an answer. So Claude called him, and he got a phone call from Claude that said, hey, I need your input on a process that I'm running, and I couldn't get a hold of you.
Like with the actual voice too?
With an actual voice, the whole 9 yards. It's now self-healing and self-learning. There's going to be some type of ethical and moral thesis that has to come together around policy, rules, regulations for the use of this stuff. It is wicked powerful. We're talking about, oh, look, go make sure contracts are okay. Okay, go make sure the law is okay. Go make sure that the research that we're doing and the product that we're putting together for our client is okay. Some of these use cases are pretty fabulous and helpful to humanity, and some of them are unnerving.
Especially with how a lot of younger people are using it as like a therapist. Like you said, whoever puts the prompt in, it's going to be favorable to you. So a lot of people use it as a therapist or to get advice, and it just feeds you what you want to hear. And people can't decipher that this is AI, this is not a real person. It's not giving you sound advice. It just wants you to come back and keep talking to it and keep using it. And that's gotten destructive a little bit.
I don't know which one of the clients you guys worked on. We have one, Adjuvant Behavioral Health. I don't know if you remember them. They're the telebehavioral health for cancer patients. They're in the process of building what I would call an interstitial app that's AI based. You've got cancer. The first thing you realize is you're depressed and anxious, right? And the people around you are sad, depressed, and anxious, right? So they come in and they provide a human-to-human construct, right? Where you're doing telebehavioral health. You don't be out in the world because you're immunocompromised. You get sick, it's bad, right? So you get to do this from home, which is good. But insurance only pays for so many visits total, right? And so now your next visit isn't for 2 weeks. What they want to do is they want to put this interstitial app that's AI-based. It's essentially taking some of the founders and their employees who are licensed clinical social workers, PhD, MD, therapists, put their brain in there, right, for lack of a better term. And then this app, you check in on a daily basis. And the app walks you through. And then the good side of it is you can watch in the back end that patient go through that. And so you can have a red, yellow, green thesis. Jimmy Bag of Donuts is sick with cancer, right? And he's having a bad day. All of a sudden, the dashboard comes up that Jimmy's on red, right? And what you don't want to do is have Jimmy end up in the ER, right? Instead, you can now have somebody immediately reach out. And then the unfortunate part of healthcare is then you go back to the payer and sit there and say, hey, instead of Jimmy going to the ER and you getting an ER bill, we were able to keep Jimmy at home. We treated him. He's doing much better. We're monitoring. To your point, Bethany, the unfortunate use is that one you talked about where people just keep coming back to the amicable engine that it is, right? Because it tells you how great you are, and you're right, even though the contract's probably wrong, right? It's gonna be crazy for you.
Yeah.
I mean, just look at I think it's 7 or 8 lawsuits against OpenAI right now for the shooting that happened in Canada. I can only imagine what the legal side of that looks like. Like, that's got to be insane.
It's a powerful tool. It's a new powerful technology. We're all evolving through it. I'm tired. I'm old. This is my 15th new technology. I might be done now. The Midvale School for the Gifted, when it says like pull and the dude's pushing the door to try to go into the school, that's what you feel like. Or I'm sorry, my brain is full. Can I go home now? So tell all the folks that listen to this, what great things are you now going to do? Professionally, personally, in Norway, is it warm? Is it spring yet?
Oh, it's spring, but it's not warm. The days are getting longer. The sun are up at what? 4 o'clock in the morning, and it's up until 9 o'clock at night. So
No wonder why you guys are so happy. You got all that daylight all day long.
Right now, yeah, but it's different when it's the opposite. During winter, the sun doesn't get up until 8:30 and then leaves us at 4.
How about you, Bethany? Other than new job and passing the bar,
Well, probably around October. I'm still deciding on where, but I'm gonna apply for a LLM program, a Master's of Law in Tax, and do that online so I can start and continue doing tax law. And so one more degree, maybe.
what made you want to get into tax law? It sounds like yay to me.
But first, it was definitely just a job when I did the research. And then I also needed another job, and USC does a volunteer low income tax clinic where we do tax returns for free. So I started doing that and then I started taking tax classes. And I always said, I'm going to law school because I'm not good at math. And then that clicked for some reason, could not tell you why, when, or how.
I remember you telling me that during your fellowship, you're like, all the math. No.
Yeah, I wanted to avoid it, but then I actually ended up being pretty decent at it. And I worked as a student attorney last semester in the tax clinic where I got to represent real clients. I got to negotiate a settlement with the IRS on my own. And I actually won an appeal for a 70-something-year-old woman with the U.S. tax court and their court of appeals to get her tax liability just eliminated. So once I realized, I'm actually kind of good at this, I kind of just kept running with it. I don't find it fun, but it's better than a lot of the other areas of law.
And you're actually helping people.
Yeah.
Well, that's good to know in case I need a tax lawyer. Knock on wood, I don't, right? Well, do you guys have any questions for me?
How are the bees going? The bee project?
Yeah, how are the bees?
So let's have a sad moment for the bees. We had to move the beehives down the street. We moved 6 and only one of them made it. The other 5 decided they were like, peace out. They left. And I mean, literally, they're not there. If I would go check on them, I'm like, where are these bees going? So the goal is to rebuild the apiary this year and then actually have honey in 2027. We are working with a local wildlife relocation company. They come in, and if a raccoon is taking up residence in your attic, they go in and they try to catch it and then take it to a local park or something and let it go. But they do beehive cutouts in houses. Anytime they have a beehive cutout, they've agreed that I'll just give them a box. I'll give them a super with some frames on the top and the bottom and say, put the bees in here and put them in my backyard. You guys are going to love this. We are doing an honors class at Coker in the fall, and it's going to be called The Biology and Business of Bees.
Ooh.
We're going to bring the biology professors together, the business professors together, a couple of guys who are journeyman beekeepers, and we're all going to teach this class together, and we're going to use my backyard, which is actually Coker's backyard, at the president's house to hang out.
Kristoffer and I might need to make an appearance for one of those classes.
I might have to.
We'll video chat you and make it easy.
All right. Thank you for your time today. And don't be strangers.
We got it.
All right, y'all. Be well.